And then while people are finding their seats, I'll get started on introducing our next presenters from Evolveware. Evolveware was founded in 2001 to automate processes and services related to maintenance, rationalization, and modernization of software applications. Their vision is to provide clients with a single platform that automates the management of software as it moves through its life cycle of maintenance to modernization. The launch of the Intelisys platform in 2015 was a major milestone in achieving this vision. This platform has a unique underlying metadata technology for which the company has been awarded 5 US patents. Their customers include government agencies and Fortune 2000 companies. To date, Evolveware has processed 11 million plus lines of code, and today they will be discussing a pragmatic approach to application modernization. So please join me in welcoming to the stage their CEO, Miten Marfatia? Yes. Marfatia? That's right. Miten and their Chief Technology Officer, Bruce Kirchner. Are you coming up to the stage? Oh, okay, great. Well, thank you, Miten.
Thank you. So, we've processed actually last year over 100 million lines of code. Just to correct that number, but we started, and got it, okay. So we really started this company back in 2001. And at that time, there has always been a shortage of programming talent, and clients were really looking for automation in IT processes. And that's when we decided that we would first develop a technology to extract metadata with context, which is unlike other parsers. And we spent about 5 years doing that. But we commercialized a product starting in 2007, and it's evolved really from a black box into a platform today. Okay. What we're going to do today is really, I'm going to give you our understanding of the path to modernization, how Intelisys features in it, the kind of processes we define. And then I'm going to take you through the features of the platform. I'll show you screenshots. We'll go through it very, very quickly because of time constraint. But if there is interest, we would love to be able to demo the product to you. Okay. And then I'll talk to you about what Intelisys provides in terms of value. So, the way I thought back in 2005 that, people who were supporting legacy systems, and just to give you an idea, the amount of code that is actually in production today ranges anywhere from 250 billion lines according to CA, which is now, Broadcom, and from IBM, they talk about 4 trillion lines of code. So there's a lot of code, critical applications being written, or rather being executed upon, all written in very, very old languages. So that was the first thing that we figured that, support personnel are going to retire. We thought that would happen around 2005-06, but really did not take place until about 3 or 4 years ago for various reasons, 2008 recession being one of them. What really has become the driving force today is, one is, of course, a push to integrate your systems with those of your vendors and clients. And legacy systems don't really work too well with that. And then, of course, a strong push to the cloud. Cloud is a big, big thing right now in terms of, call it a buzzword, call it real, but it's there. So, of course, all of this leads to modernizing your applications. And what we realized is, firstly, if you look at legacy code, there's very little documentation. We've had people come at this conference telling us that, it's running for the last 20, 30 years, but don't know exactly what that code is, what are all of the rules running inside it. So you need to know what you have. And that's where we began in terms of extraction of metadata from the source, so that we could tell the client, or the client would know exactly what they have in that code with respect to reports, diagrams, logic in different formats, etc. So you need to know what you have before you try to do anything with it. We also, again, this is all, shall I say, clients who have given us advice, who've given us feedback. But there are two ways you can modernize your applications. One is you extract all of the business rules you're running, and you take it to a modern platform. And that's one quick way to do it. And it also allows you to enhance your applications. Another way is if there are too many homegrown rules and you need to keep the application as is, you could actually optimize, because you've been running that application, the old one, for a long period of time. There's a lot of clutter. So you clean it up in terms of removing dead code, removing redundancies, things of that sort. And then you convert that metadata, that optimized metadata, into modern code. Intellisys supports both those options. Okay? And so what you really do, the kind of process we've defined around Intellisys is you extract your metadata, that becomes the foundation repository in Intellisys. And then you can analyze it, again, features within Intellisys, and you either extract rules, export it to a third-party platform, or do a rewrite, or you go ahead and you convert it after optimization. So if you look at Intellisys as a platform today, it has multiple modules. And as I said, this grew from just a black box into a platform with different modules. You've got documentation and analysis, so that actually allows you to even maintain existing systems before you even embark on modernization. And then, of course, you've got the business rules extraction, which is one option for modernization, and the other one is optimization and migration. Here's a process overview. So Intellisys consists of an extraction engine, which is what I spoke to you about, where our IP resides. And that is where all the metadata is extracted. We have a process here that allows us to extract that metadata automatically, 100%, may require a couple of iterations in terms of processing the code a couple of times. This is a machine learning product and is also web-based. So you can install it at your site. We can host it for you in the cloud. We have clients right now that have hosted this on Azure as well as AWS. And then we've got some federal agencies that have installed it on premises. Okay. So you log in through into the optimization console over a browser. And that's where you generate all your reports from that metadata. So you understand exactly what you are running. That's also the console where you're able to do analysis so that you can identify certain areas that you wish to understand about your product. You also use this console to actually do analysis for change requests or bug fixes as part of your maintenance cycle. When you've decided that, based on your analysis, or unless you already know, that either you want to extract rules or you want to migrate to code, you use this console, you enable the business rules extraction module, and it allows you to consolidate the business logic that was extracted through the metadata into rules. And we'll go through that. And after that, there is an export option where you can export those rules out. If you are going to optimize, then you will clean up your code, do your deactivation of dead code, remove redundancies, remove complexities. All of these are based on reports you can generate. And then your XML transformer will convert that metadata into modern code. Now, we generate code which is native, so you have no runtime dependencies. But our automation rate, because of that nativity, runs between 75 to 90%. Okay? We average about 80 to 85%. The rest of it has to be performed, or the rest of the migration has to be performed using manual services, tested, and then you deploy the application. And at the end of this, I will show you the value add proposition for each of the phases: documentation, rules extraction, code migration. This is really the same as the last slide, but what it does is it gives you an idea of all the different source languages we support. And there are about 24 of them. On the target supported, most of it is, of course, .NET and Java with different frameworks, and we'll talk about that a little also. Okay? So now I'm going to show you the kind of reports we generate from documentation. I'm not going to go through each screenshot in detail because I've got 52 slides here. That's too much. But I will give you a brief overview on the kind of outputs that we generate. So we start off with different kinds of reports. Logistics, gives you all of the executable code, physical lines of code, comments, etc. Then we show you both dead code and redundant code details. I'm giving you some of the important reports that are generated. We also show you complexity analysis. And so that's important because when you go to your target platform, especially if you're doing code migration, you want to reduce your complexity using part of the optimization features. And so that when you generate your target code, what you have is code that is maintainable and scalable. Okay? We show you, entity attributes relationship, your CRUD activity, so that's on the database side, so you show your database dependencies. From a diagram standpoint, we are showing you a top-level diagram between all the files, and you can drill down. These are all color-coded, by the way, and you can drill down into the subroutines or the methods of each of the programs or classes, and you can drill down further into flowcharts. So you get a top-down view of what your system looks like. Additionally, we actually show you the business logic at each class level, at each method level or subroutine level. And the logic that you see is you can look at the source code copy. We also represent that in pseudocode. And just to give you an idea, we have currently a project that's going on where a service company with Java programmers are able to read COBOL code because of the pseudocode representation. And so you've got pseudocode, of course, flowcharts, which I did explain to you. And another important one is decision tables. So this gives you a very good idea on a per method or a per subroutine basis on all the conditions and actions that are coded into that method or the subroutine level. Okay. And again, as I said, I will go through this. We can show it in detail in a demo, but I just wanted to show you how this works. Very quickly, you've got your conditions at the top, actions at the bottom. For all of the conditions that are coded in green, that means the condition has to be true. Orange means the condition has to be not true. Gray means you don't care. And then the actions that are marked with the X's or the check boxes, those are the ones that are executed. From a data perspective, we show you a data flow diagram. So we show you how each of the tables are referenced by the different programs. And we show you the CRUD activity over there. When it comes to the data model, so even if you have, let's say, a non-relational data model, we will extract the data model in a relational format and show it to you in a CSV format. We also show you the entity relationship diagrams. And so that's from the database side. So those are some of the, shall I say, some of the output results that are generated from the extracted metadata. Now, as I said, the optimization console has 3 different sets of features. One is the analysis feature, so you can trace your code flow, you can trace your variable flow, and when I mean by code flow is you can actually check mark a particular function that you want to identify as to how that function is going to be executed, and it'll show you all the different paths to that function. From a batch application perspective, we also show you a data structure trace report all the way from your JCL to the database. There are advanced searches we provide, so you can actually create, shall I say, a block pattern and search for those kind of patterns through the entire code. You can search for entities, and you can, of course, do plain text search. Those are some of the analysis options you have. When we talk about business rules, so now we are coming to the features of extracting or consolidating your business logic into rules. And these are the features we have here. You can, remember we have a dead code report, so you can decide that, okay, I need to deactivate that dead code because there's no point taking it forward. So you can deactivate your dead code. You may also want to deactivate code that you do not want going forward. You can rename your variables. Remember, all of the legacy applications have cryptic variable names and constants. And so the only people who really understand that are the ones who either supported it or who had really programmed it. And most of the people who programmed it are no longer there in most cases. So you can rename those into more descriptive names that are reflective of the roles of those variables and constants. You can also rename actually your entire methods or subroutines so that that is reflective of the functions they are actually performing. If you can merge logic, so anything that's lying out there being called once only, you can put them all into a single window or under a single window. Complexity reports, remember, things that are highly complex, you want to reduce the complexity, and one way to do that is you split the logic. And so that's something that can be done. Doing all of this allows you to really consolidate your logic into rules, and we can show that to you in a demo. This may not be so easily, shall I say, appreciated the way I'm speaking, but the idea here is to tell you what is available. So once you've got your rules defined, and you can actually catalog and subcatalog them. And so you can do that by type of rules or by type of functionality. So and so when you export those rules out, you can export them by programs or by catalogs or subcatalogs. Okay? And one of the things we've done recently over the last couple of years is to provide greater understanding to the business analyst. We also, along with the pseudocode, we generate what we call as English-like description in IBM's BAL language, and that's also done automatically. So that understanding, moves over to the business analyst, and then the business analyst can actually make notes there, so for the management to understand going forward. Okay? And of course, again, we can export all of this rules, as I mentioned. Again, I've got some screenshots just to show you as to how this is done by the users. Everything is wizard-driven, so you can go into a wizard, look for all the dead code, deactivate it, things of that sort. There is both the ability to do things automatically, where you select the parameters by which you want the tool to, shall I say, perform or implement what you want it to do. And then you can also do it manually if you missed anything out. So these are variable and constant name replacements. This is where you can merge logic. You can split the logic. And when you split the logic, by the way, what happens is it automatically then places a call to the split logic from where you split it. So all of that is done by the platform. You can, now rules, sometimes you have initialization statements and things of that sort which you don't want in a rule, and you can deactivate those also. This is defining catalogs and subcatalogs, renaming the rules that you've derived. And then, as I said, you can actually write annotations for each rule so that today somebody who's in the management and is not even a programmer or an analyst can at least read and understand what's going on. This is a picture, or should I say a screenshot, that a lot of our clients use to understand their rules from a source code level. The next is the pseudocode column. Then you have this BAL language representation. And then the revised English representation is where you can actually make changes to the English translation. And then you've got the business flow. But it's a very comprehensive view of your method or your subroutine. Export out in different formats. You can export it in Word. You can export it in a CSV format, and that includes all of your conditions, action statements. I mean, we will show you almost like 20 different columns. You can delete what you don't want and make a very comprehensive document out of it. For third-party products that can actually take an XML, we also allow you to export the XML of those rules. The second option is optimization and migration. Again, the features for optimization are very, very similar to the features for rules extraction, so I won't show you those screenshots, but I'll show you the process, which is, again, you want your deactivation of dead code, you want your renaming, you want your merging, you want your splitting to reduce complexity. Here you can actually create services. And right now for COBOL, Java, and .NET, we also let you create microservices. Okay? And then, of course, we let you download the data model. You can actually normalize it, upload it, and then generate the code. The typical code structure is very, very modular. And so that allows the target code to be maintained and is also scalable. This is again where you select your target attributes. The kind of code we generate, I know this is not easy to really look and analyze, but we generate C# .NET code. We are able to generate Java Spring Boot MVC. And as I said, Spring native code microservices. And if you have any questions, I've got Bruce, of course, here, who's our CTO, who can explain if there are any specific questions. But our hope is that if this is of interest to you, then please come up, give us your card, we'll reach out to you and set up a demo. Some of the use cases, some of what we have done with clients. So, with some companies, including large SIs, people like KPMG, Deloitte and all, they use our tool for just plain assessment and documentation. Some of them use it to document and train their support personnel because they, I'll give you an example. We have a state, a very large state, that in 2002 had about 240 odd support personnel for their legacy systems. Today they have 3. So they have to hire people who are not really proficient in those languages, but this is where they are using the tool for maintenance. Okay? From a business rules extraction standpoint, today we are working with about 3 or 4 insurance companies to extract rules. We worked with a telecom company, US Air Force. They wanted to rationalize. So they have 20,000 odd applications across the Air Force. And their goal is to get down to 16,000 or 17,000. So what they use the product for is extract the rules, and then they will retire certain systems, merge certain systems based on duplication of rules and rules that they don't want going forward. From an optimization and code transformation, again, we worked with state and local governments, federal agencies, also with some telecom companies. Our product is agnostic of the vertical. It doesn't matter, whether you are a manufacturing company, a telecom company, even a financial company. It works. What we care about is the language in which the application is written. Why Intelisys? So this is, I think, is important. Now, the analysis was done by one of our partners, a very large systems integrator. And their analysis was that if you are using Intelisys just to document and assess applications, then the savings in time and effort is greater than 90+%. Because as I said, there is no services involved there. Again, you may need to reprocess the code a couple of times, and that is because any missing patterns in conversion to XML metadata is captured by a support log, and we put that into the knowledge base. As I said, it's a machine learning tool. If you are extracting business rules, one of the most important things about this product is you will not miss a single rule, because we have some, shall I say, some reports that tell you if you are missing out any lines of code in reviewing it, or any methods or any subroutines. And again, we can explain it in a demo. But there the savings in time and effort is about 60+%. But I always tout that that's not as important as the fact that you don't miss a single rule. That's very critical. Okay? When it comes to target code generation, this product saves you about 40 to 45%, and that is because we look at code transformation as 10% project management, 20% generating the technical specs, 45% as code conversion, and 25% as code testing, the target code testing. Now, currently, Intelisys does not feature, of course, in the project management and in the testing, and so that's where it brings down the automation or the savings in time and effort. Again, as I said, we'd be very happy to show you a demo wherever it makes sense. If you have any questions, we have about 5 odd minutes, and I can answer them. No questions? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And again, we appreciate you coming in for this session.